Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask, Heidi. It is Wednesday, the 28th day of August. It is National Cherry Turnovers Day. Crackers over the keyboard day. Yeah, don't do that. That would make a big mess. National Bow Tie Day. Power Rangers Day. Red Wine Day. National Thoughtful Day. Race Your Mouse Around the Icons Day. What? Radio Commercials Day today. Tan Suit Day. And World Alternative Games Day today. All of that stuff is happening on this Wednesday. And I've got a guest joining me as well. Amanda Ripley is who I'm going to be visiting with. She's the author of a new book. It's called The Unthinkable: Who Survives When Disaster Strikes and Why. So this interview could literally save your life. Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
Charlie has Parkinson's. Recently, Charlie started wearing a bracelet from VitaTech Healing.
I'm an avid golfer, and I was going to give it up this year. I just deteriorated that much. Now I'm back to golfing, enjoying it, having a good time. I just can't stress enough how good it is.
Click on radiosavings.com to hear more of Charlie's story and find out how VitaTech Healing is helping others with ADHD, fibromyalgia, autism, and more. Plus, find radio-only savings by clicking the link at radiosavings.com. That's radiosavings.com.
Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. Forget Ozempic and Wegovy or however you say that and all those other weight loss drugs that are, so 2022. South Korean scientists are working on a new way to zap your brain to suppress your appetite. Yeah, zappity zap and you don't even get hungry no more. What do you think, Heidi?
I would be all for that.
I don't think I would. Futuristic method of weight management known as transcranial random noise stimulation involves delivering gentle electric currents to specific areas of the brain through your scalp, which researchers believe could influence the neural circuits responsible for appetite control. The white coats theorize that the electrical stimulation may enhance your brain's natural ability to resist cravings and make more mindful food choices. They liken it to giving you a little willpower boost from the outside. More testing is needed from this electrostimulation treatment equipment. They don't have it commercialized yet, but the scientists say the units could be used at home rather than in hospitals, providing a simple method for daily appetite suppression management with little or no side effects. You could do that now. Just get a dog collar, and every time you want a cookie, have somebody zap you. Don't do that. That's probably a bad idea. Surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com.
If you want a better credit card, it can be easy and not so hard. BetterCreditCards.com. Earn more points or get more perks. Get what you're looking for in a card that works. BetterCreditCards.com. Give yourself a little credit. BetterCreditCards.com. Give yourself a little credit. BetterCreditCards.com.
That's BetterCreditCards.com.
Did you know? Brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. Heidi, did you know that tornadoes used to be called twirl blasts and twirlwinds? We talked about this.
Yes, we have talked about that.
In the 18th century, it says if you lived in the 18th century, you might have referred to tornadoes using the words twirl blast or twirlwind. I honestly think we should bring those back. That's a way cooler name than tornado.
I like Twister.
Twisters are
Twister.
cool. Twirl blasts, twirlwinds. None of those are good, by the way, but if you're going to call it something cool. We don't know everything, but now we know this.
John and Heidi.
Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by radiosavings.com. Didn't Paris Hilton always used to say, that's hot? Oh, that's so hot.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Yeah, she did.
Well, then that's why this story says it's too hot. Paris Hilton's glam trailer burned down on the set of her new music video.
Oh.
Yeah, she had an accidental fire that broke out in her trailer on the set of her music video. As heartbreaking as it is, she says, I'm thankful to everybody. I'm thankful that everybody is safe. She tagged her fellow stars in the post. And apparently there were quite a few people that were involved in this because it's got like Heidi Klum and Lance Bass, and Meghan Trainor. So I don't know how many people are involved in this. What are you making fun of me over there? I've heard it both ways. Anyway,
I was not aware she was doing music.
Yeah, she's apparently doing a great job, burning down trailers. And Alien Romulus got off to a good start at the box office, winning over longtime fans and earning an industry estimated $41 million opening weekend. So they're up against Deadpool still and Wolverine. So that is the highest grossing ever R-rated film now. It passed The Joker. So I don't know, maybe when they were doing this, they could have waited and said, let's put this out when it's not competing again. They still did well, 41 million. That's not bad. But
Right.
Big Screen, Little Screen is brought to you by RadioSavings.com.
Charlie has Parkinson's. He started wearing a bracelet from Vitatech Healing, and he's noticed a difference even while sleeping.
Once I got in bed, I couldn't roll over. I couldn't move. I was just whatever position I was in, just a chore to get out of bed. And now everything is so much better.
Click on RadioSavings.com to hear more of Charlie's story and find out how Vitatech Healing is helping others with ADHD, fibromyalgia, autism, and more. Plus, find radio-only savings by clicking the link at RadioSavings.com. That's RadioSavings.com.
Now your scoop of the day comes your way, courtesy of BetterCreditCards.com. What a story here. I wish I had more than just the line. All I have is a headline. British man fakes his own death to get out of his wedding. What?
Ooh.
Where's the rest of that story?
Whoa.
I would like the rest of that story. Why in the world would you have to fake your own death to get...
He must not have been aware that there's an app he could have
we
used
talked about that the other
to
day.
break up
He's gonna,
with his...
download this app and it'll break up for you. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Yeah, I don't know. Or you just say, hey, I don't want to get married anymore. You don't have to pretend to be dead.
Unless it was like a shotgun wedding type of a situation
I
where
don't
he
know
was
what's
being
going on.
forced to do
It
something.
could be. And moving on to this was almost my good news story because it is a really kind of a cool story. But here's the headline. It says, a startup is using dead leaves to make paper without cutting down trees.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
What a great idea.
France's Relief paper, get it? Relief.
Love it.
Takes dead leaves from city trees and turns them into paper bags, office supplies, and more. The
Oh my gosh, what a great idea.
reports that 6 billion trees are cut down every year for paper products. They produce everything from toilet paper to Amazon boxes to the latest best-selling novels. Meanwhile, the average city produces 8,000 metric tons of leaves every year, which clog gutters and sewers and have to be collected and then composted or burned or dumped in a landfill. So there's a huge supply of leaves all the time. And Relief is already using them to produce 3 million paper bags per year. By joining forces with landscapers across Europe, thousands of tons of leaves arrive at their facility, where a low-water, zero-sulfur chlorine production process sees the company create paper with much lower water and carbon footprint. So I think the thing that's cool about this, it's getting rid of the leaves that you don't want to have to rake anyway. You know, they get collected, but they don't get thrown in a landfill or burned. And it's helping save trees. What a cool idea. And I love the name, too, the Relief
I love
program.
it. That's an awesome idea.
I thought so, too. Scoop of the day comes your way, courtesy of BetterCreditCards.com.
Can your IRA or 401k stand up to the next financial crisis by allocating a percentage of your retirement into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover? You can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns. Safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Protect your retirement today with a simple phone call and receive your free gold and silver guide. Call 1-800-200-GOLD or visit GenesisGoldIRA.com.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Excited to visit right now with Amanda Ripley. She's the author of The Unthinkable, Who Survives When Disaster Strikes and Why. And this is one of those topics where I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. It's a downer, but I also feel like we need to talk about it because we could literally help save somebody's life, couldn't we?
Absolutely. And look, I don't want to be a downer either. I believe that the whole reason to think about this is to figure out what we can do, right? And so the good news is that disasters are getting much more survivable, even as they are getting more common. So there is a lot that we can do collectively and individually.
And what was it that first made you decide, I'm going to write a book about this particular topic?
You know, I was covering a lot of disasters as a journalist, just kind of by accident. You know, one thing led to another, and soon I was like disaster girl, and I was covering terrorism attacks and hurricanes and floods and fires, which, you know, I don't recommend, by the way. But one of the things that happened is that I started to notice that every single survivor I interviewed had really interesting, surprising things to say, things that they wish they had known and things they wanted the rest of us to know about what it felt like, you know, physically, mentally, even socially, to survive a disaster. So that's what led me down this path was, what can we learn from people so that we can do better next time?
Now, you've worked in journalism for many, many years, prize-winning journalist, New York Times best-selling author, and like you said, you get a chance to be on the front line of a lot of things. So you've had like a front row seat to history, and sadly, so many times, history that's not necessarily the greatest thing, but somebody has to tell that story, right?
Yeah, and I think the way to tell it, which we didn't do often enough, I think, in traditional journalism in the past, was to really say, like, okay, what went right as well as what went wrong? And what can we learn from regular people who have survived these things? Because that's the thing that wasn't showing up in the official conversations about emergency preparedness. Like, for example, every survivor of very different catastrophes that I've interviewed talks about how they first went through a really profound period of disbelief. Like they told themselves that whatever was happening was not happening. It was fine. And this is really consistent across, whether it's a plane crash or a fire or a flood or a hurricane, doesn't matter. You will probably experience a really profound period of denial where your brain will get very creative to try to normalize what's happening. Just knowing that can be really helpful because I will catch myself doing that now, right? Yeah. And then I will say, oh my gosh, I'm doing that thing. Maybe I'm doing that thing where I'm denying. And then I can push through it more quickly and help people around me push through it. So that is one example, but there are many examples of ways that we can actually find hope and take action based on what survivors have experienced.
If you were only able to give one piece of advice to somebody listening that would maybe increase their rate of or their chances of survival, is there one thing that you think every person should be doing right now?
Yes. Get to know your neighbors and your coworkers and the people that you interact with every day, because those are the people who do the vast majority of life-saving in actual disasters.
Yeah.
They are the true first responders. And the good news is, on average, they actually behave pretty well. Like, typically, people do not panic. They do not get antisocial. They actually become really cooperative, almost to a fault, in real disasters. And so those are the people you want to build trust with, and you want to get to know what they need and what you need in advance. And that, can mean little things. Like, for me, if there's a neighborhood block party, I'm going to go. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
For lots of reasons. But, also because these are the people who will be there. The professional first responders are incredible, but they can't get there in time. It can be days before they get there. So having some wisdom about each other and the threats we face in advance is really, really helpful.
That's kind of like picking your team. It's like, I'm gonna get to know all these people because when something bad happens, they're on my team.
Yeah, and you want to put some money in the bank in advance. Have some positive interactions, get to know them, have things you can connect over. Because there's, even if it's not a disaster, there's going to be something, right?
Yeah.
A tree falls down on your property or, something happens. Someone gets sick. So you want to really, and this is something our culture today isn't great at, right? Is building those thick connections. So trying to proactively do that and take every opportunity to do that is really, really important.
I love it. Amanda, thank you for your time. I wish I could talk for 2 hours because I bet there's a lot more we could learn, but we can learn that by picking up a copy of the book as well. The Unthinkable, Who Survives When Disaster Strikes and Why. It is available right now. I'm going to throw a link to it to make it easy to find. Amanda, thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much, John. It's great to be with you. Take care.
Absolutely. I've got a link to her book in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
Charlie has Parkinson's. Recently, Charlie started wearing a bracelet from VitaTech Healing.
I'm an avid golfer, and I was going to give it up this year. I just deteriorated that much. Now I'm back to golfing, enjoying it, having a good time. I just can't stress enough how good it is.
Click on radiosavings.com to hear more of Charlie's story and find out how VitaTech Healing is helping others with ADHD, fibromyalgia, autism, and more. Plus, find radio-only savings by clicking the link at radiosavings.com. That's radiosavings.com.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
In 1830, the average person over 15 years of age drank 88 bottles of whiskey a year.
Okay.
That's about 1 bottle every 4 days. That was 1830. Do you think we drink more than that now or less?
I was just going to ask if you had the comparison. What are the numbers now?
It doesn't say now. But in 1830,
average
person
that's a lot.
drank a bottle of whiskey every 4 days.
Wow.
I think it's probably less than that now. Well, for most people anyway. Yeah. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The English language has about 3,000 words to describe the state of being drunk, one of which, that I've never heard before, is ram-squaddled.
I've never heard that one before either.
I'm quite ram-squaddled. I want to use that next time somebody around me is drinking. You seem a bit ram-squaddled. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Pineapples are named after pine cones, mainly due to the similarity of their spiky skin.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're not officially related. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Your funny bone's not a bone. It's actually a nerve. Yeah, so it's really the funny nerve. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
In the early 1900s, films were colorized by a lengthy process of hand painting every single frame. Wow. Several fun facts. Now you know. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
If you want a better credit card, it can be easy and not so hard. BetterCreditCards.com. Earn more points and get more perks. Get what you're looking for in a card that works. BetterCreditCards.com. Give yourself a little credit. BetterCreditCards.com. Give yourself a little credit. BetterCreditCards.com.
That's bettercreditcards.com.
Time now for the Mint Mobile question of the day. It comes your way, courtesy of mintervention.com. Question, Heidi. This food is consumed outside of the home 90% of the time. So only 10% of the time do you have this at home. And I think it's probably even less than 10% for us.
Oh,
just not as good at home.
gosh.
Always comes so much better. And you choose some restaurants based on this.
French fries.
Yeah. We hardly ever have French fries at home.
No, we really don't.
90% of the time, people have those when they're out.
And I do
about.
always
I know
choose
you
my
do.
restaurants by French fries.
I know you do. And I love that about you. Mint Mobile question of the day comes your way, courtesy of mintervention.com.
Charlie has Parkinson's. He started wearing a bracelet from Vitatech Healing, and he's noticed a difference even while sleeping.
Once I got in bed, I couldn't roll over. I couldn't move. I was just whatever position I was in, just a chore to get out of bed. And now everything is so much better.
Click on radiosavings.com to hear more of Charlie's story and find out how Vitatech Healing is helping others with ADHD, fibromyalgia, autism, and more. Plus, find radio-only savings by clicking the link at radiosavings.com. That's radiosavings.com.
Now, some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. This is bizarre. On Black Friday 2014, so 10 years ago, Cards Against Humanity was removed from being on sale, and they replaced it with a box that they just put BS box, but they had the whole word spelled out. And it was on sale for $6. The box contained literal feces from an actual bull. Yeah, as the descriptors stated on their site, this was to protest the Black Friday shopping craziness, where shoppers will literally buy anything. This special Black Friday edition of Cards Against Humanity sold over 30,000 copies, where all 30,000 buyers received an actual box of bull poo. Yeah.
Wow.
So I wonder what that's worth today. Do you think that's worth, because they bought it for $6. Do you think as a collector's item, there's 30,000
I doubt it.
30,000 copies of it out there somewhere? We don't have one, but, it's kind of interesting. Weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com.
John and Heidi.
Time now for the list brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. 90s pop culture facts you never knew that you needed to know. Like Tickle Me Elmo. Did you know it was almost Tickle Me Taz? Like Tasmanian Devil from Looney Tunes. But instead, they got the deal with Elmo instead, so it's Tickle Me Elmo instead of Tickle Me Taz. How about this one? The Spice Girls did not come up with their nicknames. A magazine editor and staff thought of the names as part of a feature they were running for the group. So like Sassy Spice and all the different Spice Girls.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't come up with those. Sony originally developed PlayStation as a CD-ROM add-on to the Super Nintendo. It was actually called PlayStation, 2 words, and had a port for SNES cartridge games and a CD-ROM drive for Sony games. I didn't know that. And how about this one? Tom Hanks and director Robert Zemeckis paid for 2 Forrest Gump scenes out of their own pocket, one of which is the one where Forrest runs across the U.S. Paramount refused to increase the film's budget, so they agreed to pay for those scenes in return for a larger percentage of the film's box office totals. And we'll do one more. The original Polly Pockets were tiny because Chris Wiggs, who created the toy for his daughter, used a makeup powder compact to create a portable dollhouse.
I remember those
So
things.
that's-
Those were so cute.
Yeah.
I loved them.
I've got more that we'll add tomorrow, but you can see the entire list in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
Can your IRA or 401k stand up to the next financial crisis? By allocating a percentage of your retirement into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns. Safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Protect your retirement today with a simple phone call and receive your free gold and silver guide. Call 1-800-200-GOLD or visit genesisgoldira.com.
Time now for the quote of the day. It comes your way, courtesy of radiosavings.com. Our quote today is from Dalai Lama. Is it Dalai Lama or the Dalai Lama?
I think it's the Dalai Lama.
On here, it just says Dalai Lama. So anyway, Dalai Lama, the Dalai Lama, whoever, said, try sleeping with a moth if you feel like you're too small for a change. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
Like a moth buzzing around while you're trying to sleep keeps you awake, probably.
I have no idea what that means.
I think that's what he's talking about.
Okay. You should have said a cricket.
Yeah,
those
probably.
Things,
that makes more sense.
Make noise.
Quote of the day comes your way, courtesy of radiosavings.com.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. It comes your way courtesy of GenesisGoldIRA.com. And this is a really great story right here coming from Orange, Texas. 12-year-old saves mother's life in a Texas sinking car incident. In a heart-stopping event in Texas, a heroic 12-year-old boy, Dwight Winbush, saved his mother's life after she became trapped in a car that was sinking. She is 39. She suffered a seizure while driving.
Yikes.
And the vehicle plunged into a pond, and she had her children, Dwight and Bria Asia, 16, inside. As the car quickly began to submerge, Dwight and his sister managed to escape, but their mother was trapped inside. Dwight flagged down a police officer, Charles Cobb, who happened to be in the area. The police body cam footage captured Dwight's desperate plea, help her, hurry. Officer Cobb and several Good Samaritans stopped to help. They rushed to the scene. They managed to pull this lady from the sinking vehicle. She was unconscious and not breathing. Thanks to their swift actions, and CPR efforts, she was revived. After spending 3 weeks on a ventilator, she's now breathing on her own, a miraculous recovery that her sister shared with ABC News. So I've got a video here in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com. So again, I think that's really cool. 12-year-old kid ran, got the help that he needed.
Wow.
And I wonder why it's saying that he did, and it doesn't mention the sister, the 16-year-old sister. Did she not help? I don't know. And then it mentions that he saved the life, but it was the police officer and the passersby that did the saving. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird way they have that listed. But kudos
good
to this
news
kiddo.
all the way around, though.
It is good news, yeah. And like I said, kudos to the kiddo for stepping up and doing what he needed to do. I've got a link to the story if you want to read it. It's in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday.